It's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings a bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Now, there's a new feature on StreamYard which allows me to play the video immediately. Did you miss the opening meme? I quite like the opening meme, and it was a device to give me a little bit of time to find the video. But now it does it automatically. I'm not sure what to do, whether we should have the opening meme when we've got started. Rather than having it on the screen before the video. Let me know what you think. You may not have even seen that. I think people... I don't actually know how this works for you. Presumably, you are alerted that the show might be on, or you set your alarm, because sometimes I'm here at 9 o'clock. But do you get to see the opening sequence anyway? Am I wasting my time going into full-scale production every Sunday night with that? Do let me know what you think about that. But well done, StreamYard. This software seems to get better and better. And more expensive, you cheeky rascals. But anyway, good morning to you. Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. How's it going? Tudo bem? Como estás? We've got Tony Time, the man in the Minho, is with us this morning. And he's got an amazing property to share with us. The sort of value you can get for 200 grand up in the north of Portugal. He's going to talk about his most recent tour and tours to come of Portugal, where you go deep diving into the glory of Portugal, basically. And I think he's had some happy campers from the last trip. I think it's always a pleasure and a real immersion into Portuguese culture and Portuguese passion doing a tour with Tony. There's a couple of headlines as well. There's been a big drop in immigration applications because of a change in legislation. We need to find out if that affects D7 visas, I think, because that, generally speaking, seems to be the visa most gumpers might choose. And the expected minimum wage jump proposed, they want it to go up to into four figures, and quite rightly so, by the end of 2028. And with incremental rises, there's going to be a hike next year, which will have an effect on the D7 because, of course, the multiples of income are based on the Portuguese minimum wage. So I suspect Tony may have a comment about that as well. At 9:30, João Norte is back, everybody. He's going to join us. You saw him briefly, great picking the other day. João Norte will be with us at 9:30. He's also just been to the Azores or the Azores. So John will be talking about the trip to the Azores as well. Looking forward to seeing John. Now is the time to talk to the man in the Minho, Tony. Let's just say a quick hello to Coach Turner, Bob, who's also with us. Oh, Bob's out with Gus this morning. Jackie, good morning to you, Jackie. Mike or Karen, Mike probably, very early bon dia from Los Angeles this morning. Antonio F, who's saying of the day, this is an ominous one, man in the Minho. The Antonio Ferreira's well-researched saying of the day today is entre dois irmãos, duas testemunhas e notario. Between two brothers are two witnesses and a notary. What's that about? Is that when real estate goes wrong from the forthcoming TV show in Portugal? Let's give him a nice big round of applause and bring him onto the screen. Hola, bon dia.
Bon dia. That was so funny. Yeah, between two brothers, there's always two witnesses and a notary.
Is that ring any bells?
Either that, or it's the Wild West, and each one will bring a gun to the table, and they sort it out. Sometimes you have these when they're estates. It's so true that people are fighting over little things. If they have nothing to fight over, they're happy. But when there's a little crumbs on the table, they even if it's a crumb, they want it.
It's funny, isn't it? A side of Portuguese life that we're glad perhaps we don't see very often, unless you're locked in real estate retail combat in such a scenario. You don't want to be dealing with that when you're buying a house off those two brothers. No, Jackie, it doesn't translate as free chocolate for all. I don't think we've had that as a Portuguese saying of the day yet, but who knows? That might come. This culture is so rich in sayings, Tony. Antonio finds us one every single day.
Yeah, and some are really kind of, real. I like the dirtier ones. You know what I mean? The simple
I'm
ones.
not surprised to hear that.
Because it gets so bent out of shape that you're saying something, but it actually means something else. There's a lot of hidden humor behind a lot of these sayings. I don't know most of them. I learn every day too, so I love it. I love listening.
Yeah, I think they're great. We've got them over at the Portugal Club. Antonio does a great job. Antonio F, that is, does a great job in bringing those to us every day. And it was something that was started by Tida as well, of course. And I think you learn so much about the culture, don't you, and the psychology of the Portuguese through their sayings, of course, as I suspect you do with every saying from any character, but especially so in this one. How are you? How are things going for you? You've just completed a hand-holding exercise. You've treated people with kid gloves around Portugal. How did they get on?
Wonderful, marvelous. I'll tell you, what a month, a busy month. Not only with our event, but we help move three families from the U.S., 2 from California, 1 from Florida. All of them on the D7 visas. So they just arrived. Joanna and Alex was a week ago. Cherie was also about 2 weeks ago during our time when we had the event. And Vicky, which was just part, I'll try to get her on the show here. I mean, there's so many friends that move here that I can get them on, but it's just sometimes the timing. And Vicky participated in our event and stayed on extra. We rented her a small little place, just like, remember Beth that was here a few on the show.
Yeah,
she was in June, and she also stayed on for 2 months. We're actually in the process of closing on a property with Vicky. She's from Northern California, from Sacramento to be more exact, and someone that be retiring. She's going to be going through the process also of the D7 visa once we close on the property, because then she has a deed, right? You don't need a rental property to go through it. And so, but been busy and getting ready for our next event in May of next year, Carl. We already have the dates.
Let me get this straight then. You've been helping people move to Portugal, and you've been doing the event, the tour as well.
Of course, we don't stop. We have a team. We actually helped a couple from Long Island, New York, as well, in Praia de Mira near Aveiro to close. We're closing.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah.
Another couple, Emily and Candace, they're moving to Lourinhã, not too far from you, right? Lourinhã. And
that's a great place.
We do it all. I mean, you can't just when we host these events, of course, people spend a week with us and stuff, but we still have a team. I'm only as good as the people that I have around me, Carl.
Absolutely.
I would need a clone, though. I wish I had a clone, but we get it done, and that's why you have a team and responsible that can do all this stuff. Otherwise, you can't get it all done. That's what the broker does.
Elon's working on it. Don't worry. You'll look forward to the day when 2 of you walk into the bar where we're meeting. I'm sure that's just around the corner, Tony. So, well, congratulations on that. A couple of places worth mentioning, actually, and dwelling on for a moment. Lourinhã is where we'll talk to the wonderful James from the Anson Brewery tomorrow on Craft Beer Corner. That's where his craft brewery is. And it's a lovely little town. And the last time I went there, I sensed that there was something going on in that town. It's a very pretty little town, and it's connected deeply with dinosaurs, isn't it? Because there's a dinosaur center there. And the town itself is wonderful, and I could see signs of renovation. I think some money being spent in the town, so something special is going on there. Very good proximity to Lisbon, of course, and you're at the lower end of the Silver Coast, I suppose, near to Peniche, and not far to get up to Foz and San Martinho and Nazaré. So great location. And Praia de Mira, I think that's very popular with Spanish tourists who drive pretty much. Come out of Spain and head west, and they get to Praia. Yeah, and I think there are quite a lot of German settlers there as well, as I recall, or northern Europeans over there. And it's a great beach town, isn't it, Praia de Mira? Not a lot of people know it.
Yeah, Praia de Mira, Aveiro, it belongs to Aveiro, but then also just further up, you have Mortosa, right? And you have that beautiful, those striped houses at the Praia da Barra. Okay, so that whole coast is beautiful. And Aveiro is one. I mean, I think there's so many beautiful cities in Portugal, but Aveiro, it has a uniqueness to it. with the river canals and the boats and everything. So it's got an allure, Aveiro, as well. And Praia de Mira, Praia de Tocha.
Yes,
as
Tosha, that's
well.
great as well. Yep, love it there.
You have those
Very
little
good.
bungalows and wooden houses and stuff. All of Portugal, right, Carl, from north to south and between. Everyone has to find their spot, and
They
happy
do.
there.
Yep. Douglas is joining us from Sicily. How about some Sicily real estate for €1? I think there's a catch with that, isn't it? Buy a village for €1. Good morning from Cefalu, Sicilia. After an arduous overnight drive and sea crossing, he's a proper Phileas Fogg, is old Dougie. He says the Algarve is deeply connected with dinosaurs at this time of year too. Not just this time of year. Always dinosaurs in the Algarve. Right? I know the Silver Coast is called the Silver Coast because of the color of people's hair here, but dinosaurs in the Algarve as well. Hola todos, bon dia from Aviva the Ocean Dweller. And Aveiro sounds lovely, but the fires. Well, that was very rare, wasn't it, to have fires? People were really surprised by that up there in the north of Portugal. How was it for you? I hope you were well away from that, Tony.
Yeah, we were pretty distant, although we had our own issues here too in the Ponte de Barca, Viana do Castelo district, right, in the north, somewhat. I was actually in Porto on that day when the fire started. It was a Monday, and I was in Porto, and all of a sudden, early morning, we're doing a tuk-tuk. We're with the group, right? We're doing a tuk-tuk tour through the old downtown area, and all of a sudden, it seems like smoke coming in little by little, and then we know after 2 or 3 days what happened, and it's unfortunate, but those meteorologic consequences, the winds, that there was a car fire on the road, it just propagated. So these are things that can happen anywhere in the world. Probably getting the means to control it more, that's probably the government. Definitely they're always working towards that. I think it's a broken record, but it is what it is.
Yes, broken record. Yeah, it's so true. And the government, of course, are on top of everybody to get their land cleared. And apparently one of the worst culprits of land clearance and neglect is the government itself. So I think you're right. Probably a broken record and a little bit of work to do from their side as well. But Aveiro, absolutely lovely. You're right, Pete. And that was Albergaria is that was quite a shock. Who lived there in that part. And
Águeda, they're building a new motorway from Águeda. Okay,
are they
to Aveiro? It's like a 2-lane highway, and so you'll be able to get in and out in the next. I think by 2030, it should be finished. It's a project they've been working on it for many, many years. Maybe I'm spilling the beans, people. So I can imagine real estate values in Aveiro, Águeda. And Águeda is a great little city, right?
It is.
It's flooded every once in a while. It gets flooded every once in a while because it's there. But
it's on the river, isn't it, Águeda? Yes, for sure. Yeah,
beautiful little city. That's where you have like those colorful umbrellas, that street line. And a lot of culture.
Yes, and at Christmas you have the Europe's, if not the world's biggest inflatable Santa, and the tiniest Santa, I think, that is etched on a piece of rice. All of these Portuguese cities and towns, they all have their little angle, don't they? A niche, and that's as well as the umbrellas. They have the Santa, the big blow-up Santa, and the tiny little Santa on a grain. I think it's etched on a grain of rice. That is going to change the game in Águeda, then, isn't it? To have that motorway coming in from further north there, and into central.
We had here is a village called Paredes de Cora. Okay, and before it's right off the motorway of the A3 motorway, so it connects from north of Portugal, Spain to Porto. Okay, that's the A3. And Paredes de Cora now is served by this highway. It was just recently built. It was a project that's been going on to get it built for the last 20 years, but they finally did it about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And the property values there alone have, of course, soared. But getting in and out, it's no longer an interior city or village, right? It's still a Câmara. It's no longer interior because it's so easy to get to now. It's like the access. And we've been doing a lot. Actually, Vic, she's going to be buying a property there in Paredes de Cora because of the easy access from the motorway. You're less than an hour from the airport, from Porto, and less than 30 minutes to Vigo, right? So cities like Aveiro or even Águeda, the interior cities where they're connected to instead of going through the 25, the A25, right? That links, from Spain, as you say, all the way to Aveiro. A lot of other interior cities are going to benefit from these motorways, and that was also a project that was scheduled for I don't know, well over 20 years, Carl. They've been talking about it, but now it's finally on paper to get it done. So that's a good thing.
Very good. Okay, so talking about plans on paper, and we've got a lovely property to preview with you as well, what you can get for 200k in the north of Portugal. But before we go, there's a couple of news stories that I'd welcome your comments on. The first of which is the rise in the national minimum wage. Is this a broken record as well? I mean, it does tend to go up, doesn't it? And they want to get it into 4 figures by 2028. And that will have an effect on the D7 as well, won't it?
Yeah, right now the minimum wage is 820 euros, and I think every year goes up. I mean, every single year it goes, and of course because the D7 visa is based upon the minimum wage. It also go up for the digital nomad visa. It has to be 4 times the minimum wage, right? So whatever the minimum wage is, that's what the residency, the proof of income required, right? It's based upon that. But every year, I think it's going to go to 850 euros, if I'm not mistaken. So
I think you're right. I think you're 870. It's going up 50 euros.
50 euros, going 70.
Yeah. Okay. So and that's the multiple on the D7 or the baseline, isn't it? The reference point.
Yeah, but you Carl, I that's what we tell everybody here, and believe me, anybody moving here, 870 euros will not be enough for getting, how can you live, if you're paying rent, etc. That's the minimum income. And if you're living in the interior by like way out in the boonies of Castelo Branco, it's very well possible. You know what I mean? So I always recommend you got to have like a minimum income, like 1,500 euros. And most people do, if it's based upon the US, Social Security right now maxes out at $1,900, right? So that's about 1,700 euros. So that's more than sufficient income. So that alone, and having a retirement pension.
Nothing to worry about really for anyone coming in on a D7, but just something to be aware of. So you are aware of that, and we brought that to your attention. Thanks, T Duck. Oh no, that was from George Branco. T Duck sent us this. This is news. Applications for Portuguese residency have dropped dramatically. So I'll bring this onto the screen. This is I think a Portugal resident story. It is from my own esteemed publication. And scenes there outside an Heimbach. This will do something for the 400,000 backlog, won't it? Which will be good news. Should this be a worry for anyone coming in on a D7 or one of the D visas, Tony? Applications for Portuguese residency fall 80% since government tightened rules. What rules have been tightened, and is that an area of concern?
No correlation, nothing to do with D7 visa. What that was, they've done away because the socialist government, which was in power for many, many years, they kind of opened the doors to immigration, and it got a little bit out of control. Where, for example, somebody that used to come on a tourist visa, on the Schengen visa, they would have the capability to stay in the country once they found a job or offered a job, etc. And I think what the new government, and they're doing for sure, is they want immigration, and we need immigration. Let's get to the bottom of it. We need it. Every country needs it. Okay, because that's even there was a something, not to change the subject, but like one of the biggest 40% of the healthcare system, the contributions came from foreigners. Okay, so people complain about the foreigners. Foreigners contributed in the last year almost 40% an increase in paying to the national healthcare system. So foreigners pay. Nothing's for free. Everyone's got to pay their dues. Now, what you don't want is freeloaders coming into the country. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. Where our taxes, our healthcare, our everything we pay, people that can come in as a tourist, and they stay illegally, whatever, and then they're going to be getting assistance from here, assistance from there, and that's what the government is doing, and that's why they fell, is because of the new rules that were implemented once the AD government, the center, the government that's in power, right? And so they did away with people that coming on a tourist visa. It's 90 days. If you want to stay more than 90 days, you got to go through some formal residency status. You want to work here, you're going to have a contract from an employer in advance, not when you get here and then you decide, hey, let me look for a job. Let me go on a holiday there, and maybe I'll just stick around and live off the system. No, that's what the government tried to eliminate.
Yeah, I think the strain was beginning to show with such an approach, wasn't it? And I think hence the idea that, or the slogan that came up, we are open but not wide open, I think was one of the slogans that was going around, wasn't it? So closing the door a little bit. And that's not the D visas. That's for the type of the move that Antonio was talking about there, where you could just come.
Let's try to get away, eliminate freeloaders into the country, basically,
yeah.
Carl.
The bottom line. Okay, fair enough. Agada, not Agadu.
You call a spade, right? I mean, it is what it is. And, you can read between the lines. It's to cut down on the immigration. The people that do come into the country can prove that they have the means of sustaining themselves. They're going to be part of the community. They're going to learn how to speak Portuguese. They're ultimately going to want to become a citizen. That's what immigration is all about, and it's encouraged by the government. And I think it's, from my opinion, it was something that should have been done a long time ago. Because you want people to come in.
Absolutely, come and make a contribution. Be an asset to your new country. Absolutely. And just a clarification here: it's Agada, not Agadu. Push pineapple.
Agadu.
No, definitely not, Douglas. And sí, claro, tudo bem, Antonio from Aviva there. I think it's a bit of a cross-talk not cross in a bad way, but a communication among Gumpers, which we always love to see in the chat.
Carl, you know where I'm going? I didn't even tell you. That's something new. Wednesday, I'm going to Dublin. I'm going to be there for 4 days.
Oh, you're going to have a great time.
And then I'm going to be over in Milan, too, for another 4 days. So I'll be out 8 days. But we'll be taking care of business.
I'm sure. Hey, look, there's a message for you here. Yes, Paradas de Cura. Tony, we read your review of the CCB restaurant. That's not a very romantic name for a restaurant, is it? As we dined there a week ago.
Broa is CCB is Café com Broa.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's a good idea. So coffee and cornbread. Great little cafe, and we dined there. The rich and famous guy. Well, if Tony Barbosa goes there, there's obviously the rich and famous guy. The man in a Minho spotted at CCB just recently. And what is the speciality?
Diogo is such a great, he's the host with the most. He's really, he took, that's what we talk about, a young gentleman, young guy, and he said he had a vision. He used to work. I watched him grow up in a little coffee shop, making little petiscos, snacks and stuff, and serving wines. And he opened up his own place, and it's really good pastas and burgers. I mean, and getting there now is a breeze. So good for you, Bob. I'm happy you went there and liked it.
Any other tips of that kind, man in the Minho?
Oh, I have so many. Oh, reach out to me. I usually give my free tips on Wednesdays or Thursdays, for where to go.
Very good. Yeah, no, fair enough. Understood. Okay. And before you go, you have a lovely property. So you have a little wander around a beautiful property. Set us up with this one, Tony. Where are we?
We're in Valença do Minho, and really take your pick. 10 minutes from the center of Valença or 10 minutes from the center of Viana do Castelo. A point of reference where they have every second Sunday of every month, they do an outdoor market. Okay, it's the Feira dos Santos. And when you come for November 1st and 2nd, it's a big outdoor market because of the All Saints Day and All Souls Day. So the November 1 and 2. And it's a big event, but every second Sunday of every month, it's an outdoor market, and it's really big. So that's it. Literally walking from there, anybody knows the area of Valença, walking from there is about 7 minutes walking, public transportation as well. So nicely located. You have three or four good restaurants nearby as well. So you don't need a car even to live there.
Oh, and you're in this. Thanks for that heads up. We are coming towards All Saints and All Souls, aren't we? And of course, it's the 1st of October today. Forgot to mention that. So happy month, everybody.
And how's it going, Carl, with the sunny days challenge? I mean, today is a really bad day to start.
I hoped you wouldn't mention that. over at the Portugal Club, we have. I'm sick of this. The Portuguese are moaning about 300 days of sunshine. They said, meh. I'll be on a call on a show with him tonight. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a research project. Well, my kind of research. It's not that. What's the word? Discipline.
You picked a really good day to start, my friend.
I picked a terrible day to start. It's peeing down as I look outside the window. So I'm going to post a picture of sunshine every day, and we'll count them up at the end of the year on the 1st of October of 2025. Thank you for mentioning that, Tony. Let's go to happier times when I think you shot this video.
Granite staircase leading up to the entry hall, which is a sitting area, and traditional wooden ceilings. Central heating in the home, own source of water as well. So what you have here is a nice sitting area. Again, ready to move in. we have here a dining area that also, again, with high ceilings and wood ceilings, that leads into the kitchen here. Again, maybe some TLC, but everything does function.
I like the tiles.
This is another sitting area. Again, this is your typical colonial home, character house with divisions that connect with one another. Okay, so kind of wraps around. Kitchen, again, high ceilings,
Love
wood
that.
ceilings as well.
Yeah.
One of the bedrooms with a built-in wardrobe. And then just circle back. Hallway
And I
here.
think you have the
It's
other
very
video
typical
too, Carl, to
of
show the
these
exterior of the house,
century-old
the character
homes.
of it, because it's a nice,
Okay.
beautiful.
All right. I
century-old
think we've got a little bit more of this video of the interior. I love it. I love
Back
this.
into
But
the entrance.
Ready to move in. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths,
the house.
and an office. 3 bedrooms. It's
Another
got
bedroom.
the tiles were the
Second
house was
bedroom.
rebuilt about 20
This
years ago,
is
so you can
the
see the tiles.
lounge.
People love.
Yeah.
You know, if you like vintage and tiles, that's what the house is, and hardwood
Yeah.
floors. So it's in great,
Yes.
great condition.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I
I
think
think
it's
what's most beautiful about this property, of course, the location. The house is in great shape. And for 200K, what can you buy for 200K? We haven't even done the
look
videos
at
or
that
anything.
view. Look at that
Yeah,
view. That's fantastic. And the location that you
yeah.
mentioned before.
And if you
So
have the other,
I'm loving that interior. Sorry, carry on.
no, the if you showed the other video that I sent you has the exterior, you could see the land. It's about a quarter, no, half an acre of land, 2,000 square meters, and it's got
Yes.
its own
So
the
new
fruit trees
listing
already,
alert.
grown. Yeah.
A character home.
Okay. Well, I'll let you talk over this live because you tell us about what's
Yeah,
happening here. So that's
it's a
good.
century-old home. It's got the character, even the windows and doors and stone. You know, all of it. It's just been rendered on the outside. Got the spiegato. Okay. With
Hold on. I'm
granite.
pausing the video. I'm pausing the video. That is not a kennel, is it?
No, no. That's that's the grain storage for the corn, right? Because for the feed for the animals, and it's typical, right? In these
It's very
villages.
typical. Yeah.
And you know, again, we saw that staircase. It's got the wine cellar. You can see how thick the walls are, right, of the stone. It's got the
Yeah.
wine cellar. It's got the little bit of vineyard, a lot of mature fruit trees. So you don't have to wait around 20 or 30 years to watch the oranges grow or the lemons. You know, brand new. This is a mature property.
Lovely meadow, isn't it? Or orchard there. Fantastic.
Yeah. You got this beautiful pine tree there, and the house again. It's one of those character homes, and that's typical of the Minho region that you have in stone, and you could see the rendering of as outside. But that's the traditional like colonial home, casa colonial. Actually, the people that were there that built the house, it's a family estate. His great grandfather actually made his fortune in the U.S. in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Really?
There. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, that does feel so northern to me, and you know the fact that it has so much space inside, and the orchard outside. It's magnificent. It's a statement home of its time, isn't it? You know, and
Yeah.
are these the sort of folks who would have lived there?
Yeah, this property again. It's the family. They live in Lisbon, and you know they're getting older. Their children don't want it. They're maintaining it. Yeah, exactly. Spiegato. And so it's ready to move on. And you know, sometimes it's decisions that really you have to be patient with them and work around them and stuff because you know they're selling something, they're getting rid of something that they've known all their lives, right? And they live
Yes,
there.
it really is them, isn't it? It's their DNA in architecture.
And that's, you know, and for them, it's even said, we prefer to sell, they're not going to discriminate, but they prefer to sell to somebody that will live there, not to buy it, to rent it out, to, you know, to sell it or anything. They want somebody like a family to give it the same love.
Somebody will love it like they did. They did, yeah, absolutely. So when people built a home like that, did they build it to retire into, or is it a working family home? What was the idea originally?
That house had a lot of land around, so it fed a village pretty much, right? Had a lot more land, and then and there was other constructions in there that were split up in various families, so cousins and uncles and everything. They have all surrounding properties or all of the family. This one there was always in the family, and it was his great grandfather. And again, usually, you know, when you have a lot of these kind of homes, I call them the colonial style, because inside they all kind of all the divisions, you can go into, walk into one of them, right? Big high ceilings, etc., the wooden ceilings. And they rent, you know, but the house is well over a century old. I mean, you know, much more than that. And they renovated it, and they've renovated, but the last renovation that was done was about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And so that's where you see the tiles dated from that time.
Yeah. Lovely home appears to be well maintained. Good morning to you, my dog Smells. Heaven is back here. This channel will read all your chats, all your thoughts. Better avoid this channel. Why? What are you thinking, Heaven, that we might discover? It's your life, it's your choice, but you seem to not be able to stay away from us. And a final comment to you then, Tony. You need to be in front of the camera instead of behind it. Absolutely right. You're a star, mate. And yeah, it'd be great to see you doing a bit of presentation in front of the camera as well. I think Gary's got a point there. Good morning to you, Garbo. Excellent to see you in central Portugal at the beer festival. Tony, have you got a final word for us? I think you've got another tour, haven't you? Have you any spaces left, or is that fully booked, that one?
No, but it's getting there. You know, people already, you know, they expect us. They know we host these events every single year. And so they already reached out to us, and it'll be a fabulous event as well. We're trying to cut it down, actually. Instead of being 10 days, we're going to do, it's 8 days, 7 nights. Okay. And again, Minho, you know, I want people to know the Minho region. Everybody knows Lisbon and Algarve and other beautiful parts of Portugal, but the Minho needs to be a little bit more on the map. So I love it when I'm on and even João, and we talk about it, because it is something special here. It's very different. Every single region of Portugal has its own charm. The Minho itself, Lisbon, the Algarve, everywhere, you know, even Castelo Branco has its charm. Viseu has its Bragança, you know, all these villages and stuff. So, you know, make it count today, you know, just dream, you know what I say? Dream your dreams, okay, with your eyes closed. Live your dreams with your eyes wide open. So
fantastic. Another gem. Another gem. Cheers, Tony. Always great fun speaking to you. See you again next month, my friend. Have a good October.
Thank you, Carl. Bye, everyone.
Ciao. See you, mate. Bye for now. Great property, says Bob. Tony, we've shared it with friends. Thank you for presenting this. There you go. I think Tony might have missed that. I hope you can see that behind the scenes. So there may be some calls later on today for that fabulous property. I think João de Norte said something about having your eyes closed and your eyes open just recently. Let's bring him on now. Great to welcome back to the Good Morning Portugal show. Olá, bom dia, alegria. Good morning, Portugal. Bom dia, Portugal, João Ernesto. How are you? Tudo bem? Oh, you're muted for some reason there, John.
I thought that was you. Sorry.
That's better. Great to hear you. Great to see you. Yeah, very well. How are you, mate?
Very good. Good to be back for a considerable length of time now.
Yes, because you've been on your travels, haven't you?
And then we were back, and then we were away again.
Yeah. And I want to hear all about the Azores, or the Azores, where you've been. You've been great picking, and then you've had a little bit of a tour back home. Well, it's a funny one, isn't it, saying back home? But let's call it the United States. You've been back to stateside. Yeah, this is home now. This is home, of course. So, and lovely to see you the other day with Bob and Viv when you were doing a bit of grape picking. Before we get into your recent adventures, was it you that said, I'm not napping, I'm just following my dreams?
Pursuing my dreams, yes.
Pursuing my dreams. And that dovetails very nicely with what was just shared with us by Tony. Yeah, dream with your eyes closed and live life with your eyes wide open. Experience life with your eyes wide open. Fantastic. A great combination this morning. We've had the man in the Minho. We're staying in Ponte De Lima now, up there in the north with John. So what was the grape picking like, John?
You know, it was remarkably soothing, calming experience. You know, it was in between trips, and, you know, you're back, and it was a really nice grounding thing to experience. I would strongly recommend it for anyone. You know, we had the Quinta there, which was a, you know, fully operating farm with pigs and chickens and ducks and all that kind of stuff. So we had I don't know if you saw the picture, but there was a pig out there with us, also helping with any dropped grapes.
I did see that absolutely beautiful picture. I think you sent the grape crushing machine that you need to keep your fingers away from, don't you? Let's give that a quick spin. What a lovely scene there. So yeah, definitely keep your fingers away from
frozen.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But you were there in real time. You saw it for the first time. And people, they're cutting, and I recall now, you and Pam were a little bit competitive, cutting the grapes from the vines. And then what you do, you take your bucket into that room and you just chuck it into the hopper, and it crushes the grapes immediately.
Not quite. So down the rows of the of all of the vines, about every 20 meters or so, there would be a big bucket. And so we would, as we were moving along, we would fill those up. And then JC with the tractor would come along and pick those up into a big hopper. So he would have probably 10 or 12 of those big buckets in the back of his tractor, which he would then trundle over to the shed that had the hopper and everything. And then he would chuck them in to the hopper. And then so we went over there during one of our short breaks just to have a look at what he was doing. But yeah, it's quite the operation. And I think, as was maybe mentioned before, was that the quinta that he purchased and has restored used to be a major employer for the whole valley. And so there's many families there that still come and will get their wine there, but they come to help out, and it's a traditional thing where it's like, yeah, my father worked there, my grandfather worked there, my great grandfather worked there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's
and even
nice.
even my pig works there. When you first sent this, I thought, someone's dog wandering about in the grapevines, but there's a free range pig is there helping itself to the dropped grapes.
Yeah, there was. They have a shed out on the other side of the vineyard there, where the pigs are, and this one was coming out and having a wander.
How lovely! How lovely!
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, whilst we're talking about juice and grape juice there for a moment, are you aware of this, John? Whilst many countries in Europe favour Coke or Pepsi as their number one drink, I think this is by consumption. And thanks to my beautiful country over on X for this, who posts lovely stuff about Portugal every day. Various cola drinks, right? Is that one of them? Might have beer in the middle there. I can't quite see. But generally speaking, we're talking about colas. Apart from Portugal, who favour here the juice, and that's our Portuguese treat of the week. And you can't go far in Portugal without encountering Compal, the huge juice manufacturer here. But isn't that nice? And I know juices are sometimes laced with sugar, but it's great to see that, isn't it? That we're not just straight down to soda. We are still drinking juice in this country.
Yeah,
and there you are.
The outlier there.
Yes, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Yeah. So the grape juice is being made and fermenting as we speak, probably a week later or so. The big question is, when do you get to try it?
Well, we did. We took back a bottle that he took straight out of the vat there.
Wow.
So, yeah, because he's tasting that just to get a sense for what it's going to become, and it's like, needs less sugar, needs more, or you're thinking of what the potential will be for that. So it's all an educational process that he's still undergoing and learning. And one of the things that he mentioned, he told us was that what he's been learning from the local guys is, how do you know when to take it from the big vat and put it into the fermentation tanks? And they listen to the grapes, and there's like a little snap, crackle, pop that they're listening for as to when it's ready to. Oh yeah, okay now, and it's well, not silly, but it's funny how he's saying, like, oh yeah, you took it about 6 hours too early, or maybe it's like, really, hours? It's like, oh, yeah. A couple hours late, or it's like,
but after 50 harvests, those guys know, don't they?
Yeah, so I'm trying to develop my ear for knowing when the right time is, and it's all these little subtleties of raising a vineyard, and that if you're really into it, it becomes a lifestyle, and there's so much to learn, it's unending.
That is
But
such an
I was
immersion.
mentioning how calming it was, because you're just out there. It's not a frenetic high energy exercise. You're just walking along with your clippers, clipping off the bunches of grapes, and but you're on your feet all day. We were literally out there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m,
Right.
with a lunch break. But so you have a sun hat and that sort of thing. But it's just a slow, methodical experience, and you're chatting with your friends, but there's no hurry to anything, and you have to be methodical and looking at underneath all of the grape leaves, because you might find a hidden bunch here and there, and you got to make sure you're not missing anything. But so it takes good concentration to do it. So it's quite the Zen sort of
Yeah, I
experience.
bet. Yeah, I was just thinking grape yoga. It's like harvest yoga, isn't it? Because you are, you're contorting and twisting to find those hidden grapes, and you're out there in the fresh air. What a lovely thing to do, and what an amazing thing that JC's doing to really immerse himself in the local culture like that. So you had a little taste of the fresh press, and will that be wine for next year, or does it take longer than that?
I don't know, actually. That I didn't ask that question, but it's probably not this year. I don't know.
And it really is organic, isn't it? And dynamic. Because as some people may know, because I've been banging on about it so much. I was up at the craft beer festival in Pera at the weekend on Saturday with the brothers there. And
Wow.
we've got James on tomorrow from the Anson Brewery. And this is what I wrote about in the Portugal Resident this week, about how craft beer is similar to winemaking, is experimentation and instinct and innovation. Unlike, the mass production of beer and wine, with very sort of, I don't know, logical and scientific measurements. When you get down to the local farm, and when you're making craft beer, I don't want, I'm not meaning to diminish their efforts or make them sound unscientific, but it's a little bit more organic and dynamic, isn't it? And it's like life itself. It's the ups and downs, the goods and the bads, and iteration and progress. And it's about the process as much as it's about the
It
product. And I
is.
think,
Yeah,
with
it is.
Sagres and Superboc, it's always about the product, isn't it? They are brewing to a micron or a microgram of scientific accuracy. Whereas with craft beer and with wine, you're listening. That's not a scientific. That's not a traditionally scientific. That is a traditionally scientific thing. It's not a modern scientific method, is it? Where one farmer says, "No, that's not the right sound," and the other guy says, "Yeah, no, I think that is the right sound now," or just wait half an hour. And these are lovely, numinous sort of processes, aren't they? Which we might learn more from. How we live our lives that way as well.
Yeah, yeah. And that quinta that they operate, he and his wife and 2 children. It's not a commercial operation. They're not like sending out or selling these bottles of wine for commercial purposes or whatever. I mean, maybe they could, but I was asking, it's like, I don't need to, because all of the wine I produce is purchased by, and consumed locally here in this valley. So they, the neighbors and farm and places all around, they come and they get, okay, I'll take 100 bottles, I'll take 50 bottles, I'll take 200 bottles. So he produces it all, but it's all taken there. He says, we don't really make any money here. It's not a money making operation, but it sustains the farm, so they can continue to operate.
Wonderful.
But I was wondering, how do you sell this, or how do you do it? Because you see these, everybody does a little bit differently, but at least here in Ponte De Lima, that time of year, probably a week ago, for the last few weeks, it'd be difficult to move around, because you have these tractors, with full of their grapes, taking it to the local co-op, that sort of thing. And everybody's got different, some have large tractors with just tons of it, and some just have a small tractor. But in his case, they don't tractor their grapes anywhere. They do it all local, and it's all
That's great, isn't it?
locally.
Yeah. How wonderful. And a bit of a note here from Pete. Just make sure you don't leave a 5-year-old near the fermentation tanks. Joseph, that's Joseph Marsh, I think, a farmer for fun. He had a flood downstairs and it took a fortnight for it to stop smelling like a wine bar. That's not an unpleasant smell, is it? But yeah, can you imagine the 5-year-old is like, I wonder what this tap does.
Yeah, I'll just leave that on and I won't tell Daddy for the next 10 hours.
Yeah, I won't tell Daddy because he might be cross. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Pete also heading over to the bumper cars and 20-foot thongs. I don't understand that. Bon dia Garvo, I think that should say. Hope you had, and maybe the thongs is a typo as well. Hope you had a great weekend at the Beer Fest. It was wonderful, Pete. Looking forward to bumper cars and 20-foot thongs. We don't need pictures, all right, Pete? Who is banned for a month for speeding. Do you want to tell us more, Pete, about what happens when you travel at light speed in the Tesla? Diane is the responsible and designated driver. I think, and Gary also he's got his liver hanging up in the corner, trying out for a few days ahead of the. Have you heard of that one? The festival of the 20-foot thong? I don't know. Is it a religious relic? The 20-foot thong? Is it San Antonio's 20-foot thong as a religious relic? Don't know. Maybe we shouldn't know either. So you came back. You picked grapes. You're involved in a lovely local and organic winemaking process there, John. And then you fly off to the Azores. How was that?
Let me fly off to the Azores. Yeah, no, that was brilliant. We just went for a short trip, just 5 days, with some friends. They were going to visit with family, actually, and so we were tagged along and gave them a little bit of alternative activities to do as opposed to just being with family. So.
Very good, excellent. And you've got a little video, I think, haven't we, to play as well?
Yeah, sure.
a little clip here. I don't know if this is the right one. Let me just. That's the one I already played. We've seen that one. Well, what about this one, everybody? Lovely bit of filmmaking there, John. Reminds me of when Philomena sent some footage from the Azores. She's standing there in the wind and rain, and all I can hear is. So you had a little bit of that, but it's stunning. It's what a beautiful. It looks so crisp and clean. That's the impression I get from the video.
I apologize. In that video, there were a couple of pictures from when we were in Minnesota at the beginning. I didn't mean to put in there, but yeah,
I didn't notice.
You haven't been there. It's as many people have said, it's a cross between Hawaii and Ireland, and so you have areas that are very tropical and lush and thick rainforest type, and then you have these meadows with cows and tree. It's just an odd mix because one vista you look at and it's tropical, and one vista you look at and it's all pastoral and farmland and dairy cows. And so you really got to. It's not a. We were just on San Miguel, and it's the biggest island, but it's not that big of an island. You can go around it in a day. So it's best to just sort of take a bit. And concentrate. Okay, we're going to take this quadrant and spend the day there. But the inland, the inland of the island very often is densely covered in cloud and fog, and so along the coastline it might be sunny and clear, but you just go a few 100 feet up in the up the coastal roads, and you're going to be in the clouds. So you have to kind of pick your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two things struck me from the video. I mean, just generally, it struck me because there's something. It feels alpine and crispy and clean and lovely. I don't know if that is the case, but there were two things there. There was the pulling of the pot from the volcanic ashes, and I think picking the tea pickers were sorting through the tea
Yes.
leaves. Is that right? Right.
Yeah. There's a tea. It's the only tea plantation in Europe. And it has quite the operation there. And so I had a picture there of the tea fields, and then the ladies in there picking the leaves. And what they're doing is separating the three main forms of leaves. So you have the pico leaves, which are the small little young ones. Orange pico. And then the regular chaupreto. Yeah, they're out there. They're picking the individual leaves and separating them out, and it's kind of a stale. Well, it's a room that doesn't have a lot of air movement, and so it seemed a little hot in there. But you can imagine if there was air movement, they're like.
Your tea.
Shut the
door! Shut the door! Well, they've been working in there 7 hours, and the boss comes in to say you can go now, and he opens the door, there's a big gust of wind. Ah! Oh, it looks. I mean, there's a couple of great shots there. Is that the factory that you were at? Is it the Goriano one?
Yeah, and it's quite the operation. They have all these drying machines and belt-driven. Whatever. So it's very interesting. Enjoyed it quite a bit.
It does look like a
so,
lovely
yeah, we did buy some of the tea from there.
Yeah.
Looking forward to trying it out.
I think they can tell, can't they, when you get into customs in Porto Airport or Lisbon, and it's full of Azorian tea. Did you have a nice time over there? Very good. That's absolutely beautiful. And Antonio saying, you can get 4 seasons of the year in a single day in the Azores. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, they have T-shirts that say that.
Yeah.
4 seasons in a day.
Yes. So you'd recommend it?
Yeah, and there's some certain images you have in your mind of what you expect to see there, and
yes.
That's the thing. But one of the things that I did not expect, and I was surprised by, was the thick forests of cedar. There, it's just it's covered in cedar, and the if you go to the caldera, which has the Lagoa Azul and the Lagoa Verde, the two lakes, it's in a caldera surrounded by it's a volcano crater, and the sides are you can't even see the rock or the cliffs. It's just entirely forested with thick forests of cedar trees, and the canopy of it is just magnificent. I mean, if you're walking in there, you can't. It's like where am I?
Really, you need your GPS. So they must love volcanic ash then, or volcanic soils. The cedar trees.
Very densely forested island.
And I know you like a hike. So did you get into those trees?
A little bit, but it was mostly driving and looking around at different places. We trying to cover things, and we didn't have the best weather for that sort of thing. But we made the best of examining the different miradoros and finding lost aqueducts in the woods. There was one place we found an aqueduct. You're driving along and you wouldn't even know it was one, except you see some arches, but you'd swear it was just vegetation, except that it's I guess that's an aqueduct, because you can it's a structure and it has the arches and everything, but it's like I thought it was just be trees and bushes.
Amazing. So did you get to Genuino Madruga's restaurant, Senor Genuino? Did you eat anything nice over there?
We did not. We did go to several different places that we enjoyed very much. Seafood place, we went to Atoshka, which is a famous one. And I had, I didn't send a picture, but I had a cigar for dessert once.
Really?
Well, it's chocolate cigar.
Is that a speciality de la maison or la casa then?
Yeah, there at the place we were at. So it was. I can send a picture of that.
Very
like,
good. The chocolate cigar. Yes, it sounds like a prank waiting to happen. The old chocolate cigar.
Like, yeah, everything's there, including the cigar label. So it's like, oh, really?
Really? And did you try what comes out of the pot in the ground as well?
Yes. So that is a very common stew in the Azores. I think even in the mainland, but they boil it all up in those pots kept in the hot springs, and that's the traditional thing that they've been doing for ages. And so it's just been what they've done, and now it's become sort of a touristy thing. So Mary, who we were with, who grew up on who spent a lot of time on the island, was born there.
Mary, yeah.
She said that just 7-8 years ago, this wasn't a touristy thing at all. It was just something that they did, but now there's there was a busload of Spaniards that came through.
Can you imagine though, John? The early Azorians, what else can we do for the tourists? We'll take them to the tea factory. We'll take them for a walk in the woods. We'll show them the cows and the butter and the milk. Should we give them a pot of food that's cooked in the earth? No, they're not going to like that. Pulling a pot out the earth. But who knew? And I think it's a massive thing now, and I'm sure it's really tasty. I remember cooking a chicken. I put a chicken in a cast iron pot, poured a bottle of wine in, put the lid on, and put it in a fire, like a fire pit, all day, and it was so delicious by the end of the day. So I imagine it's a similar vibe to that. Right, John, will you bear with me? Thank you so much for your guide to picking grapes and your lovely little tour for us, a virtual tour for us to go to the Azores there. Will you stay with us for the God Squad tip of the day?
Sure will. I did send another video just of our time in Minnesota, but that could be another.
Well, okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll play that as our outro today. So let me save that. We'll go out with that at the courtesy of you. Thank you very much. God Squad tip of the day disclaimer. I am not a qualified medical professional or nutritionist. Now you tell us. I just pass on what I believe to be useful information from research studies that I come across. So anyone who's nursing a sore liver or has been overindulging, maybe too many chocolate cigars, back to intermittent fasting. The original studies looking at the effect of restricting eating times on mice have now been extended to people, though, of course, the causal interactions are more complex. However, the results appear clear. Limiting the hours that we eat in each day can improve our health. It makes sense, doesn't it? Especially if it is combined with good nutrition. So what does this mean for us here as bon viveurs who like a little bit of gentle fitness and health awareness? I can only say how Mrs. T and I have used the information. We now tend to eat our dinner early before 7. Then we'll skip breakfast, except for coffee, of course, and have a light lunch around midday. There's no doubt that as we've aged, we need to reduce the amount we eat as our metabolism slows. However, in true God Squad style, we still go out a couple of times a week at least. Yes, well done. And the fasting balances the blowouts. Yes. So it's like 4 seasons in a day, food-wise, isn't it, sometimes? So you don't need to be religious about it, in my humble opinion. Just sensible. I'll look at what we eat tomorrow and why it affects our property choices when visiting Portugal. Oh, that's a nice connection there. So thank you very much. And Bob, I think a fan of the intermittent fasting. At the coach, we do something similar by eating a late breakfast, then dinner by 7 when possible. Viv is very low carb, no sugar. Because of my exercise, I add carbs as I feel necessary. Would you agree with that? You seem to be concurring, John.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. Not that it's, I'm at a plateau. I'm trying to, but yeah, late. I usually, it's hard to do when you're on holiday, but yeah, late breakfast around 11 o'clock and then a dinner 6 or 7.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so general thumbs up for that. Yeah, I would agree as well. I tend to delay my breakfast. I had a cinnamon roll, though, before the show this morning. But yeah, delaying breakfast till after the show is good. And not eating too late, although we live in a culture, don't we, where people... yesterday, we were driving home, and it was 7 o'clock. And to me, in my British brain, it looks like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it's actually 7 o'clock. And that's why I think the culture goes on later, doesn't it? And why people eat later. It takes a little bit of adjusting to that if we ever do. And back to the big thong, John. We're going to go out with a thong. Hey, a big thing thong. It's Alviagra's big festival this coming weekend. Last year, we had a 2-story inflatable bottom. Wow, does that tour the country like a lot of other things at this time of year? With a thong as centerpiece for the stage, we have some interesting acts this year also. Is Ana Moura coming with that dress, I wonder? What's going on in Portugal at the moment? Very racy with Ana Moura's see-through dress. And there it is. The mystery has been solved, John. It's not a religious relic at all. It's not in any way sacred. It's quite profane, in fact. That is the big bottom. You can just about make it out. Quite eye-catching, it has to be said. And not to be confused with chocolate cigars, I hope, as well. So, John, thank you very much. Excellent to see you this morning, and looking forward to seeing you again next month.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
love to Pam and love to Ponte De Lima. And yes, let me just go out with a little. Tell us a little bit about Minnesota, then. What will we see here as by way of leaving this morning?
It's just a wonderful. The North Country of Minnesota is, waterfalls and lakes and forests and then you have the city of Duluth, which is the furthest inland international seaport.
Very good. Okay.
So you have big tankers coming in with ore and picking up grain and those kinds of things. So
a funny place to have a container port, but I guess it's just how it evolved over the years, presumably.
Yeah. It's quite an interesting story. I'd love to share it sometime.
Wonderful.
Found some relatives there, actually. My last name, Heimbach, is very rare. There's only a few thousand in the U.S. Total. And one of the areas that has Heimbachs is in Duluth. I didn't know that, and I learned that.
What a lovely, happy discovery.
Started lumber companies and things. So it's like found a connection. So
get him on the show one day. We are loving the messages coming in from. Look at this. Look at this. This is another happy coincidence. I don't think you're related to Steve, but I was asking people who listen in the States later on in the day to get in touch. Steve Merwin, watching a recorded show and wanted to say hola bartad to Carl and all the Gumpers from Minnesota. That's really brilliant, isn't it? Quite a fantastic coincidence there. Cheers, John. Take care. Big round of applause for you. I love to Pam and Ponte De Lima. Ciao, ciao. And we'll go out with your lovely video of the same here. Ciao.
There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.